Hello, this is Pat Baldwin, the host of the Basketball IQ podcast. Recently, I spent some time with my high school teammates, Todd, Noll, and Jason Maupin. Let's watch and see some of the best of the Basketball IQ podcast. Jason, when did you get kind of that feeling of kind of what Todd was talking about is the tradition of and the feeling of being at Leavenworth High School? When did that kind of sink in for you?
Well, moving from Germany to Kansas for my ninth grade year, you get into town, and then once you start playing sports, you start hearing about it. And I remember the first time I went to a game, freshman year, went over to watch a game. It kind of gives you chills when you're that age. And like you guys were saying, I didn't grow up with it, but the atmosphere and the tradition was amazing. And you see that carpet, you throw the balls out, you start thinking, man, I want to be out there. And the crowd, you guys were like this. I was the same way. Like, I loved the big crowd. We had great crowds in Leavenworth back in the day. It was just fun. It was loud and exciting. And, you just wanted to be a part of it. And so I definitely could see that. And then you got to work. How do I get to be one of the starters that gets to run out there and throw the balls out? Like, what do I need to do to get to that point? And you start working your butt off to do it. Like you were saying, those 10 years, 5 years before, even further back, the talent was amazing. Right around us, 5 years, probably 10 years before us, 5 years after us, the amount of good basketball players and guys that played some level in college or could have, or played D1 in another sport, it was phenomenal. It was just it was really hard to make the teams. Just to be on the team was special. And to get to play was even more. And then starting was, you start at Leavenworth High School back in those days, you could play.
It was just ingrained in me from my family to my brothers and sisters and everybody else involved in Leavenworth that has something to do with basketball. They brought me along the way. So it's taken me to a lot of places. I just got back from Alaska. That is the 49th country that I've been to. I have one more, or state that I've been to. I have one more state that I have to get to. And a lot of those states that I've been to is because of basketball. So it's fun. I love coaching. I love giving to kids and giving back to them. Even, sometimes there have been situations where they haven't been the greatest kids to coach for one reason or another. But at the same time, you're still teaching lessons to those who want to hear it, and even those that, maybe 5 or 10 years down the line, they end up saying, I appreciate you coaching them. So
yeah, life lessons.
I understand that. I definitely understand that and where you guys are coming from. There are times when in my 25 years of coaching that I've said, I wish I could do what they were doing, just to time and with family and all that. Todd Noll recounts his relationship with Coach Larry Hogan of the Leavenworth High School Pioneers during his days. Let's take a listen. What was kind of your relationship with Coach Hogan, Todd, and just what did he mean to you going through from the time that you were going to basketball camps when you were younger to the time that you started playing for him?
Coach Hogan was like a second dad, man. Obviously my dad was number one, but like Coach Hogan was number two in terms of a father figure. And I've told him that before. I'm like, man, he did so much for me, challenging me. We went to his basketball camps, and he was always challenging everyone from every station. We did stations at the camp, and he'd come around to the stations, and if you were slacking a little bit, he'd let you know about it, as he should. And so he always was right there to help you out and be not only a better player, but a better person. Coach Hogan is not just about being a better basketball player. I think he did a great job of making you a better person. I don't know how you feel about it, Pat, and Jason, but yeah, he's great. I still keep in touch with him, love him. I'm sure you guys probably do too, but no, Coach Hogan has been instrumental in my life, just from a standpoint of how he developed us as not only players, but people.
Brian Shaw is currently an assistant coach with the Los Angeles Clippers. He was recently on the Podcast P podcast with Paul George and talking about his time with the Lakers and playing with Kobe and Shaq. Take a listen.
And so playing with Kobe and Shaq and them getting the attention, it's like those dunks that you have on your shoe, right? On your shoes, they might cost $150 for a pair of shoes, right? So you got the sole, you got the upper of the shoe and what have you. That's Kobe and Shaq. They take the brunt of everything. The rest of us were like the shoelace. The shoelace holds their shoe together.
Right.
So without the shoelace, you don't have any support.
So that was interesting to me. Shout out to the podcast P and Brian Shaw and Paul George. They were talking on there about just a team. They were talking about Kobe and Shaq just being so dominant, and they were like the soul and the outer body of the shoe. But Brian Shaw talked about the laces and just how integral the laces are to the shoe. And what he was comparing it to is how integral and how important a supporting cast is, or supplemental players or guys coming off the bench were to that Lakers team during that time. And just wanted to get your guys and your thoughts on just the comments that he made, and what were your thoughts about that?
The biggest thing to me, Pat, is, and it's changed a lot over the years, but we play for each other. I never felt like if you scored more points than I did, or I scored more points than you did, or Jason scored more points than we did, like I never felt like, jealous or anything like that. It seems like things have changed a little bit, but I agree with what he's saying. I mean, I think that it's so hard to get teams, and you know better than us because you're in the in the thick of it right now. But it's hard to get kids to play for each other. Everybody wants to play for themselves, it seems like now, and maybe that's just my old, me being old. But I see it so much, and it's getting kind of worse on the collegiate level, maybe.
First of all, don't call us old, all right? Getting better. Fine one.
And you see the teams that are most successful are like the shoe, like Brian Shaw was saying. Like we weren't, like our team, it was just a perfect shoe. Our senior year, it was the perfect shoe. We had, I mean, you and Todd were Todd missed quite a bit, but you guys were kind of you were a power five. Todd would have been if he wouldn't have got hurt. Mm-hmm. So you're building around that. And then we had, just fiery guys that could shoot, guys who could play defense, a lot of unselfishness, a coach that made everyone play that way too. It wasn't just us, but.
I hope you enjoyed the pioneer edition of the Basketball IQ podcast with my guys, my friends, Todd Noll and Jason Maupin. We'll see you next time.